Hello.
Hello, welcome. It is Saturday, December 20th. Ruth and I are going to hang out on live for what, like maybe half hour, 40 minutes, you think? Yeah. We're open to talk about whatever folks want to discuss this evening. Ruth, did you have any ideas? I mean, I have some notes, but if you have any ideas of things you want to discuss.
We were talking about doing a live stream on the topic of invasive species, but I think maybe we'll save that for later because I want to do some research and write some notes on it. I mean, I can just go off right now, but I want to have more organized thoughts.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. One of the things I'm enjoying about starting to do lives this week is that we kind of can go off on subjects and do maybe like more deep dives on things that I don't cover in regular TikTok videos, and we get to have like a back and forth conversation, and we can discuss something at length. So
open and closed discussions.
Open and closed, yeah, and maybe people can give us ideas for other subject matter that they would love to discuss. I told people in a video recently that I want to do the bird with four sexes. I think that that's a really fascinating subject.
Yes, the Omegaverse birds.
Yeah, okay. Gen Z calls them Omegaverse birds.
No, they don't. I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I made that up.
Okay, well, accurate. So, I don't know a whole lot. I'm working on a Substack post that's coming out later this evening, talking about permaculture zones and how we can use our understanding of permaculture zones and apply it to community organizing and resilience. I think that when people look at permaculture, they often can think it's only applicable in gardens, and it's really, really applicable when it comes to organizing society. So I'm always trying to tie that in. Since I don't make as much gardening content as I used to, I'm trying to tie in those permaculture ethics and principles and concepts. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or topics, or questions, or? Not to put you on the spot.
No.
You're making.
You always put me on the spot.
You're making dinner. You're making dinner tonight. You made dinner so that
am.
I could work on making videos and working on my Substack. So
I'm making birria tacos and birria ramen. Or I'm gonna try to. We didn't feel like digging out the right cut of beef out of the half a cow worth of beef in the freezer. So I just grabbed the wrong kind, but it should be fine.
So you went to the supermercado to get supplies.
Yes.
One of the things that, not to go on a tangent, you can interrupt me whenever.
ahead.
One of the things that we were talking about in one of the like Ice Watch groups I'm in is about how a lot of our international groceries, especially Latin groceries, are really struggling in light of the fact that so many of the folks who normally shop there are either being straight up abducted or are afraid to go shop. And so one of the calls that we heard from our local immigrants' rights folks from PERC and others is that they're really requesting that people try to prioritize shopping at international groceries for the holidays and beyond to help those folks be able to, make a living, right? Be able to stay profitable and stay open. We're really worried about those immigrant-run businesses being able to stay viable because their customer base is being snatched and or afraid to go out in public and go shopping.
Yeah, I think before this year, when did we start boycotting Target? We used to go to Target fairly frequently.
When the boycott started in early February, we stopped shopping at Target, yeah.
And around that time, we also started shopping at supermercado, which we hadn't before this year.
We typically shopped at the Asian market, and then there's an Indian market, and there's a Ukrainian market, but we hadn't shopped at the...
Well, mostly we shop at Winco.
Oh, yeah, also Winco, yeah. But Target's really close to us, but we're in a part of town, I think, with a lot more Asian immigrants, so there's a lot more not only Indian but also Asian groceries near us, and a lot more of the Latin groceries are further south, so we didn't go there as much, so like not on a bus route.
There's like 3 or 4 Hong Fats near us. There's one within walking distance. So
we're
go
close to Hong Fat
very often.
Yeah, but you can't get stuff for birria tacos at Hong Fat.
Yeah, it was a bit more of a drive, but
yeah.
I like to go to supermercado. I won't go too much into it. Well, one of your haters who was spreading slander about you said that they saw you in the grocery store when they were making stuff up about you. Mom never goes to the grocery store. I am always the one who did. Me and my dad have done the grocery shopping since I was born, basically. So Don't believe the lies.
I really haven't gone grocery shopping since like 2020. I can count on one hand the number of times I've gone to the grocery store since 2020. Like we went recently because you had to get something and we were out for the orthodontist anyway. And then a couple of times I've been to the Asian market. I hate grocery shopping. It's gotten really bad so far this year. If I went to Costco once with you all and I got recognized by 2 people, which they were really lovely and really wonderful. But it's really weird for me to be out trying to live my life and someone will come up and be like, very, very lovely, wonderful, wonderful people, but I'm very awkward and weird. So I don't know how to respond when I'm just caught by surprise by someone who's like, oh my God, I love your YouTube. That's weird for me. So I try and avoid going in public a little bit. Plus I just hate the grocery store and I hate fluorescent lights.
It's always just kind of been me and my dad's thing. We have it down to a routine. But then when we go to the Asian grocery store, usually you drive and then just sit in the car.
And you go in. Yeah. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. I like to grocery shop.
I know you like to grocery shop. You enjoy that. And also like Dad does, right? Dad does a really good job of, we do a really good job of sharing the kind of domestic obligations. And not just domestic, but also I think the parenting and unschooling, we split that pretty evenly, right? Especially as you guys have started going to community college or 4-year school, but right, like Georgia's first year this year in college. It is Georgia's first year in college, and he's needed a lot of support because he's never done any formal education before, and Dad's really helped him figure out, like, here's how you work the software, and here's what it looks like to have due dates for your homework, and here's what it looks like to email your professor when something's been misgraded or something's gone sideways, helping him build those skills. Yeah, I think he and I do a really good job splitting that kind of work. Yeah.
And obviously you guys have your different specialties. Like, you helped me a lot during the biology series, and Dad helped me a lot whenever I have a calculus class. And then I was just kind of on my own for chemistry.
I don't know what you mean. I took organic chemistry. It's just that it's been... I
didn't take organic chemistry, though.
It's just been 26 years since I've taken it, so a little bit rusty on some of those things when you need support. Or like...
Organic chemistry tutor on YouTube was there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But also, I'm actually pretty good at teaching myself stuff.
Yeah, you're fine.
I did a calculus class this past term and didn't really have Dad's help for much of it. Anyway.
Yeah, feel free. Thank you to everybody that's here. Feel free and ask us questions. We thought we would just yap for a little bit while the birria cooks in the Instant Pot. I kind of have wanted to do a video about Instant Pots for a while because we cook a lot. We have two pressure cookers. I have my Instant Pot and then I have the one I inherited from my mother when she passed away. We make beans a lot in the Instant Pot. We make lentils a lot. We make a lot of pinto beans. Cook a lot in it, especially outside in the summer. I plug everything in out back. Rice cooker gets plugged in out back. Instant Pot out back so we don't heat up the house.
Air fryer.
Yeah, you guys have an air fryer out back. I don't really use it, but you guys do. But I think Instant Pot is a really fascinating story because they were a business model that was so, I don't want to say like anti-capitalistic because obviously they were very profit driven, but they were so successful. They made such a good product that they ran themselves out of business. So we live in a society, right, with like planned obsolescence or things that are made to break, right? Like your cell phone, right? The battery stops charging or what have you. Things are made to wear out and not be very repairable, but Instant Pot's product was so good that people would buy one and then it's like, I don't need to buy another one ever because it'll keep working for long periods of time and you would like have to repurchase different gaskets.
Capitalism breeds innovation. What are you talking about?
I have a whole bunch of notes on my computer about like I wish we could talk about maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do a whole video on Instant Pot, how it was a really sustainable business model in terms of a product that was sustainable and filled a lot of needs, but in terms of late stage capitalism, it was such a successful product that was so long lasting that they ran themselves out of business.
I wonder if they'll like go dormant and pop up in another 100 years when they've all broken.
I don't know. I use mine religiously. So
well, there's been a lot of examples of that, like Singer sewing machines. They're still around, but people, obviously, the old ones are in high demand. Or a better example is honestly Pyrex, who were so good up until they realized they needed to start doing planned obsolescence to make the line go up. And so now Pyrex is just shitty normal glass instead of their super amazing glass. And so everyone wants vintage Pyrex.
When you say line goes up, I don't know that everybody has watched the same bread tube
He did not invent that. That's just a term that means the
profit
has line on a graph
has to always increase.
The right way. Which way is it showing for the viewers?
This is still up and this is still down. It's just okay.
Well,
yeah.
Well, but if if it's going left to right, then.
Yeah. But when we say line goes up, we mean Folding Ideas a lot at the time. Who's a bread tuber that we really like.
No.
Yeah,
I only watched that video like a year ago.
Really?
I mean, quarterly profits.
Yeah.
So, like, they're obligated to have the profits be as high as possible for the shareholders.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
At the end of the quarter.
Yeah.
He meant, I mean, he was still talking about the same concept, but that his video was about that insane subreddit that was thought that GameStop was, I can't get into it. He gets into it a lot better than us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think when you're talking about that, like, need to always post a quarterly profit, one of the things that I see a lot from people in my comments who are like neoliberals in my comments is this, like, well, when the stock market is doing well, that's good for all of us because it's helping fund our retirement accounts. Like, right, like I have an IRA, I opened it when I was 18. You have an IRA that you open. Mm-hmm. But I read an Oxfam the other day that that over 50% of the stock market is owned by the 1%. It's not owned by us, right? And when they look at posting profits for their shareholders, they're not talking about us who have, like in our mutual fund have 0.02 shares of whatever. They're really talking about some billionaire who has gajillions of shares in a company. So it doesn't really, how much do we spend a month? Hang on, it's going to come back around a second. I missed your question. It said, how much do we spend a month? I'm probably on groceries.
You can scroll up.
Can I scroll up? I'm still learning how to use Oh my God, I can't. How much do we spend a month on food? I saw someone say $1,500 a month for a family of 4 is normal.
We're a bit of an outlier because my brother is 17 and 6'8", and so he eats as much as
6'7". He's 6'7", yeah. I used to do a lot of videos back in the day about budgeting and being really frugal with our spending and, how to eat well on a very limited budget. And a lot of that definitely has gone out the window because now we are all adult-sized people. So I think it's different when you say like a family of 4. We're a family of 6 adult-sized people, and Hal is 6'7", and he eats like 3 people.
Literally like as much as 4 people.
Yeah, he eats a huge amount. Just to keep his body going.
Yeah, I'll just say thank God he was child number 3, not child number 1, because if he had been this size when we were living below the poverty line, it would have not been.
Is this your tale of woe? I don't know if other people have like a bunch of. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Hypothetical tale of woe for him because we ate a lot of crock-pot beans and like half a ham hock a week.
We did. We ate a lot of like split peas with carrots, and the 4 of us would eat 1 ham hock in it. I don't know if other people are like this. I'm the youngest child. My siblings are quite a bit older than me, but my kids, right, I have the 2 girls, and then we have like a 3.5-year age break, and then we have the 2 boys. And there's a lot of tales of woe from the girls about when they were young and we were really struggling in a lot of ways, and the kind of things that the boys have not had to deal with in terms of frugality just because we were more financially stable.
It's not just that, it's also that you guys are a lot more like liberal and normal now, like post roller derby. We were just like, it's not that we were ever like super crunchy when we were little, but there was definitely a lot more like no eating junk food. Like I couldn't even conceive of like air fryer food, fried chicken,
I think
Hot Pockets. I didn't have a...
I've never bought Hot Pockets. That's grandma. That was grandma. That was not me.
Well, just like there's so much junk food that I didn't even have till I was an adult that now my brothers eat all the time. Or like going to Costco. Just like I never thought we would ever do stuff like that. Okay,
so I think that's a really good point. I realize I'm not answering this person's question about how much we're spending on groceries. I'll try and get back around to it. I think in my 20s, obviously like before Maha, one of the reasons I'm so critical of Maha is because I think I had those tendencies in myself when I was younger. I grew up in a household where we had very limited access to sweets. My mother cooked incredibly well, but there was a huge emphasis on health. What are you doing, girl? You got coconut jelly stuck in there?
Jelly, I want to get them all.
Okay. huge emphasis on health and like very low sugar, high nutrition value. So we were on a super limited budget, and I was like, how can I get the most nutrition? We didn't really eat junk food growing up. For sure we didn't. And then when you guys were little, I still had that. Like, I want to... It was like, here's your nori and your hummus and your carrot sticks, and here's your yogurt, your plain yogurt with a little bit of maple syrup. But I was definitely a crunchy mom in terms of cooking everything from scratch. I overburdened myself very significantly with like no convenience food. Everything had to be made from scratch. What were you drinking? Someone asked real quick what you're drinking.
Oh, I'm drinking Cancun drink coconut with coconut gel, mango flavor. Did
you get that at the Indian market?
No, I got it at Supermercado.
Oh, but it had coconut jelly in it.
Yeah, coconut jelly or nata de coco. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's one of those like Latin American foods that they're trying to market as Asian now to jack up the price. Much like dragon fruit.
I didn't know that. Thank you for educating me. I think that I definitely had a lot more puritanical. I made all my bread from scratch. I made yogurt from scratch. I made all my own homemade hummus. I was really concerned about preservatives and food dyes and having everything be very natural and growing as much in the garden as I possibly could. And now I'm a lot more flexible. I agree. After I started roller derby, we started, Dad cooked more, so there was more convenience food. Part of it was we just couldn't afford convenience food because it's more expensive. Yeah. And then there comes a point where it's a time trade-off of like, I can't make all of this naan from scratch, so we're going to buy, something pre-made. Yeah.
I think you said tale of woe. I am complaining when I complain about the fact that we were super poor when I was little. But I think I am grateful for the fact that we like didn't eat really basically any junk food when I was little, because I feel like it's made me less of a picky eater. I feel like I mean, as an autistic person, I am prone to being a little bit picky, a bit of a picky eater, as are some. I feel like growing up not eating chicken nuggets and Kraft mac and cheese, those things never became my safe foods. Like, I feel like happens to a lot of autistic people. So in some ways it's helped me have a healthier diet as an adult. Versus I feel like my younger siblings, like my youngest brother, who's probably the pickiest out of all of us, he eats like 3 things: air fried chicken, plain burrito.
This person says, I came from a large Italian family and didn't go out to eat a lot. We basically we still don't really go out to eat a lot. They did a lot of canning. I do a fair amount of canning. Over the years, I've done more freezing, so I tend to freeze tomatoes. I freeze peaches, just because at the time of year that I want to be canning them, it's really hot in the kitchen, and we have an old house. The air conditioning doesn't work great, and it's easier just for me to chuck it in the freezer. And because I'm on grid, I don't have to worry about power outages or what have you. So, and we have two freezers. We have a chest freezer and then a what's the word I'm looking for? Stand-up freezer. But I'd still do a fair amount of canning. I used to make all homemade pickles. I still make some. I really like to make lacto-fermented pickles. There is a fermented carrot slaw that I really, really like to eat. I eat it a lot. But I don't do as much of that as I used to. I was much more dogmatic about it. Much more, zealous about it. Thank you.
To make kimchi.
I used to make kimchi before you guys would eat it. I don't know.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I have one of those that brown Boston baked bean pot, which is not a correct container to ferment kimchi in, but I think it works really well. And then I would use a glass canning weight, and it would go in the top. And I liked it because then you have to put it on a little plate, because sometimes when you ferment kimchi, it can get really busy, can get really active, and it can kind of bubble over. So, yeah. But we eat some junk food now. But we really, really didn't when you were little, like at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of almost to like an embarrassing homeschooler degree. All of the things that like my friends that I met in high school, I'd be like, you never had this?
No. And I didn't when I was a kid growing up either. Every day I think about buying raw land and building a small home away from it all. I have moments that are like that. Our next door neighbors bought their house the same week we bought ours, and we're like family, and we talk with them a lot about that too. Sometimes you just have that kind of midlife crisis escapism where you want to get away from it all. But having lived in rural Oregon and having some friends who've done some homesteading, I just feel like it's really isolating. And if you have any kind of injury or any kind of disability, suddenly it's so much harder. You're so isolated. Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. I think about that too. I think same reason, the main thing stopping me from moving to rural Oregon are, one, the long drive from the hospital. Two, everyone there is in psychosis. When we lived in rural Oregon, like, our homeschooling friends will be like, don't dance, it's a satanic ritual. Don't have schools with mixed gendered children, it's too sexual. Don't.
Our homeschool co-op, do you remember?
They're putting microchips in the Pepsi, the Joe Biden microchips. It wasn't Joe Biden. The Bill Clinton microchips.
Do you remember our homeschool co-op at the time when we were on the Central Oregon coast? The entire homeschooling community was very, very conservative, and a lot of them were part of the same cult that the Duggars are part of, IBLP, the Bill Gothard cult, and that was the first time. Yeah, that was the first time I had ever been exposed to any of that. I could tell tales about what that was like.
The Duggars are your special interest.
But there would be like a homeschool co-op, and they would have pajama day, and then some of the families would boycott it because it would be immodest for girls to show up in their pajamas. Or we had PE classes, and they would try and separate them by gender because like, apparently 7-year-old girls are going to defraud 7-year-old boys playing basketball together. It was crazy. Someone says, where are we from? The United States. Yeah, we're in Oregon in the U.S. Oh, Trish is on. Hi, Trish.
Oh, hi, Trish.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
I don't know. So, I don't know, back to the conversation about food. We shop a lot from international groceries. We do shop a little bit at Costco. We shop at Winco a lot. We don't shop at Trader Joe's anymore. We're boycotting them.
Well, the reason we started going to Costco is because we drive so much that it's a better deal for gas there. And whilst we're there, there's a couple things we like to get. We really like their tonkatsu ramen. We can sort of doctor them up. We really like... What else? A
lot of things at Costco are not actually cheaper than Winco. And then there's often a lot more packaging. Yeah. So I think for us, Costco, we do it primarily for the gas and because it's really close to our house. But other than that, I think we probably wouldn't, if it wasn't for gas, we probably wouldn't be members because really it's cheaper to get things at Winco. Larger quantity doesn't necessarily mean cheaper per ounce.
Trish makes a good point. I like Costco and Winco better than places like Walmart because
Costco is good to their employees, is what Trish said. Yeah. Yeah. What other thoughts do you have?
How long is the beef?
Why are we boycotting Trader Joe's? That's a really good question. They are union busting. They're owned by the same parent corporation that owns Aldi's, by the way. I know a lot of people recommend Aldi's. Both Aldi's and Trader Joe's are big union busters. So there were a number of unions early in the year that put out a call to boycott both of those places. My husband's a union member. I'm educators union, not grocery workers. So we don't shop there. Tonight is the winter solstice. Yeah.
Technically tomorrow, but at midnight.
At midnight, yeah.
Tomorrow night's the shortest night.
Are y'all doing anything for the winter solstice?
My sister is. She's at a winter solstice party right now.
That's right, Bee's at a party. Yeah.
I didn't go because I wanted to make food.
Union busters in those fun Hawaiian shirts. I know, it's really sad, huh? My visibility is... I'm not sure why my...
being haters.
How are your ducks and chickens faring during the winter? Someone said they're going to a potluck for the solstice. How are your ducks and chickens faring in the early winter? I think they're doing fine. It's pretty rainy, but it's not very cold.
So this was their first winter with their new coop. So before we had them in the duck house for like 2 years. And now we have a chicken coop, but it is less insulated. So what the people before us did is they had... a plastic sheet they would put over it's sort of like long bubble wrap that they would put over the wire mesh part. What I've done is I've rearranged the boxes that came into it so that they provide a little more wind shelter. Today I went and I put some straw in there. The plastic sheet is mostly to block wind, so it hasn't been super cold and windy. The problem with that is when it's really windy, it blows up their feathers and it releases their like heat bubble. So I'm gonna put the plastic sheet in there when it does get too cold. But right now they're doing okay.
Jumping back, someone said they have a bonfire and they burn wreaths of dried flowers and sing songs for the solstice. That sounds awesome.
Ooh.
We should try and be more sociable. May I ask if you have a winter solstice ritual or a way to celebrate? We don't really do a lot. When the kids were smaller, we did more. I think life has just been so busy, and because half my kids are adults, like Ruth said, her sister's out at a party with friends. I think I'm pretty burned out. My 17-year-old, I think, is downstairs playing D&D with his friends on the computer. My 14-year-old, I think, is gaming online with friends. So it just feels like a different time right now. I think we were more into Advent and solstice rituals when the kids were littler. Yeah.
I'm gonna play a game with one of my friends tonight to celebrate.
To celebrate, good. I like chickens and ducks, but never owned them. How do you deal with the desensitization to animal deaths? Okay, we have to be careful talking about this on live.
The animal unalives.
Yeah, the unalives. So, I think it's difficult. We've talked about this before, right? We're omnivores. We've raised turkeys for the table in the past. Turkeys that I got really attached to the male turkey. We still ate him anyway. I think that you just get more in tune with the fact that death is a reality of life when you raise animals. And you also realize that there's a point at which your own feelings don't matter as much as doing right by an animal. So if an animal is sick or injured and you have to cull it, even though that feels terrible for you, you have to do what is compassionate and humane. And I think that raising poultry has really taught me that very much. And I think that's only really grown since having to care for my parents. Like in the United States, I think that we are so detached from death and dying. When my mother got diagnosed with cancer, and then later when my dad got diagnosed with dementia and had a stroke, I joined this alumni Facebook group for aging and dying parents, where people just talked really frankly about the realities of death and dying and caring for people. What did you name the male turkey? French fry. And I think that that's just something we shield ourselves from in the US. We're not very good at experiencing grief. We're not very good at processing difficult emotions. And I think as hard as it was to take care of my dad, I don't know, you definitely weigh in. Ruth helped me with a lot of the caregiving. She helped me with domestic work for my dad. We would go visit my dad once he was in a facility. We did all of his like driving and medical care, and we cooked food for him. And maybe what are your thoughts about that? About in the US, like how disconnected we are from death and dying, or what your thoughts are caring for aging people?
I think I've always kind of just been, I don't know if apathetic is the right word, but I've never been like as bothered by death as a lot of people, especially in America. People get really, really uncomfortable thinking or talking about it.
You really haven't been. Yeah, you really haven't been.
I've always been pretty good with pet death. Pet unaliving. I just think for me, like, especially caring for animals, animal unaliving is not really an upsetting concept to me so much as mistreatment or unhappy lives. So I have always been totally okay with keeping meat animals, because what really upsets me is abusive practices in the meat industry. So like I felt much better about even being emotionally attached to and raising the meat animals. I knew that they had a good life versus buying a turkey at the store.
Well, that's why we raise turkeys, right? Because we know what the conditions are like for battery farm turkeys. And so we were like, we don't want to have a turkey at the holidays unless we know it lived a good life. I think you bring up a really good point that for our whole family, it's far more about humane practices and making sure that animals have a good quality, livestock has a good quality of life, than it is about like ultimately the fact that that life will come to an end. Yeah.
I think part of why a lot of people are so uncomfortable with meat animals is they just don't want to think about the concept that animals are mortal to begin with. I think that also translated into me doing well with end-of-life care. Like I helped with both of my grandparents, and then I also drove out to help with one of my great-grandparents. And I definitely could feel that a lot of my other relatives who helped out with that end-of-life care were extremely uncomfortable and did not want to be there and did not want to think about it. But I don't know, it's just never really bothered me. I mean, not that people I care about dying doesn't bother me, but I feel like people don't want to think about it to an unhealthy degree. They sort of like mystify it. I don't know. That's also, not to go on a tangent, I feel like that's part of why I was drawn to the goth subculture since a young age, is a lot of goths are very, very open about talking about death. They have things like, or should I even say that on live? Is that why you're getting view restricted? They have things called unalive cafes where they'll like get together and talk about beauty and unaliving or aging relatives or like grief and talking about that. I just always felt like it was a good community for talking about stuff like that in a healthy way.
I think that that's true. We don't like to talk about or face our own mortality and the fact that we all have an expiration. I think that's something we're pretty uncomfortable with as a society, but I think when you are raising livestock, it's something that you have to face, and you have to make hard decisions that are about the welfare of another living creature versus your own comfort or your own distress. You can't prioritize your own distress. We would not probably raise turkeys again in our backyard.
Just because I don't know if we have quite enough space for it. They poop so much.
They poop a lot, but also the male turkey would get up on my roof a lot. Even if we clip their wings, even then.
They just jump so high.
And also one of our turkeys was obsessed with our next door neighbor and would hop the fence because she thought that he was her boyfriend. And so she would end up in his yard a lot, wanting to flirt with him. Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah. Yeah. Feelings. Trish says feelings. Yeah, I think that hiding from death, I think that if you have to care for a loved one, I cannot tell you how much this death and dying support group that I joined, like how important that was for me through the whole process of caring for my dad. I've mentioned it a few times. I would love to write and put together a little booklet on the realities of caring for a parent with dementia in the US. All of the ins and outs, all of the things you don't know until you're going through it, because we just don't talk openly about what that experience is like, what it's like to be in the sandwich generation in particular, where you're caring for an aging parent who's in poor health, and then you're also trying to raise children at the same time, and how that burden overwhelmingly falls on women. And like, what are the resources that are there for you, and how do you get through that in a way that is compassionate and caring for your loved one, but also in a way that like you don't go completely, like run yourself completely into the ground. Yeah. The truth is, it's a beautiful process, way better than the family getting together for game night. Yeah.
This is a common theme explored in Gerard Way's work, is like people being brought together over a funeral. It's in a lot of his songs and in Umbrella Academy. Well,
think about it for Grandpa's funeral, how we had family come out from Kentucky and from all over the place, California, and we all got to reminisce. I heard stories about my dad, like things about my dad's childhood that I did not know at all from cousins, and it was a really good chance to connect and share those memories. Yeah. What do you say, like 20 more minutes? I think we could do 20 more minutes. Yeah. And then dinner will be ready, maybe?
Yeah. Let's see what time Julie is going to be home.
Are you going to call with your friends?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. Do y'all have any other questions? What's for dinner? Ruth made birria tacos, so they're cooking in the Instant Pot. And then we got condiments, guacamole, and salsa and stuff from the Latin grocery.
I got a ramen. I'm going to try to make one of those birria ramens.
Birria ramens, yeah. Is that like a TikTok trend? Because your sister was talking about it.
I think it's more like a street food. Like if you're already making birria taco supplies, they figured you could like put it in an instant ramen. Some cheese.
It'd be good, yeah, with some cheese.
They had it at the food cart last night, but I didn't think anyone would want it.
We went to the, what was it, Portland Night Market last night? Which was it? It was, yeah, they had a Christmas themed one. It was really busy. I ran into somebody that I knew from Derby, which was awesome. I was really busy. We got a couple of things from local artisans, and then we got food, trying to support local businesses. It was really loud, really crowded, and pretty exhausting. I took my 2 eldest and then my youngest kid, and it was pretty good. One of the things that I found frustrating there was it was really obvious. It was in inner Southeast, in kind of a warehousey area, and it was really obvious based on the signage that was up that they had swept the homeless camps around the building right before, so that people could park their cars everywhere, and that made all of us feel pretty not great. Didn't feel great to feel that people had been displaced so that we could all go shop. But there were signs up that were announcing that the area was going to be swept, and it clearly had been, so that everybody could park their cars. Yeah.
Which is a big ongoing problem in Portland.
It's a big problem in Portland.
It's constantly happening.
Yeah. I think that, Ruth's sister worked in homeless advocacy for quite a while, and it's frustrating to know a lot about the policy that Portland has, how much money we spend, taxpayer money is spent on sweeping camps, and could that money be used in beds for rehab instead? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just like the amount we spend on sweeping is insane. Like, it's the amount of money you would need to get most of these people off their feet, and to provide like long-term care for people who have high support needs that are on the street.
It reminds me very much of kind of like Geo Group and Core Civic, right? The company that has millions of dollars in Portland contracts to sweep camps. They're becoming very, very wealthy off of our taxpayer dollars, and it's not actually solving the homeless crisis. And it really is reminiscent to me about what's happening with ICE. Absolutely. Someone was asking, was the night market fun? I don't love shopping, but I love seeing what people are creating, and the food was really good. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, there was some good local food businesses. There's one guy who had a sandwich pop up, and he was just getting started. He made a really good. It reminded me of the cat's eye burger from Jollibee.
It was a lot like that. It was quite good.
Gochujang and pickles.
Yeah, gochujang and pickles and deep fried chicken. It was really good.
It was so much better than the one from Jollibee, though. It was so good. It tasted. Does anyone remember the ginger wasabi laced kettle chips from 2017? That's my Szechuan sauce. I'm trying to find something that tasted. It tasted a little bit like that. Not quite, but. What
was the thing you posted on your Instagram? Oh, you mean the blurry picture that I posted on Instagram? That was that cat's eye, that spicy Korean deep fried chicken sandwich. If people look at my Instagram, you can see the account that I followed. He is doing pop-ups. He's just getting going. We also got churro fries, which again, a genius deep fried street food. French fries,
more
but they're
surface area for the same amount of dough.
Exactly. They were like churro battered with with cinnamon sugar. It was amazing. It was so good. It was greasy and sugary and wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. There was the market itself. I really liked it. A lot of the vendors kind of had the problem where they were selling things that were like $250, so they sold 0 things. If I was a vendor, I would sell more affordable things to make more smaller sales, because they have to pay to be there. Like, I feel really bad when I see someone who's selling like stained glass windows for $400.
But they're gorgeous.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They are worth that much money, but nobody's going to buy it when they're trying to spend $20 on a stocking stuffer. So people who did really well with it, people who sold small things, a lot of people sold like mystery bags and like mystery small things that were at a discount of their normal stuff. So I got a couple of those. It was really fun. There was one person who had a giant booth that was clearly all ChatGPT AI generated images. Like, they had the Ghibli look and the orange piss tint, and they were very clearly AI generated images for everything, and that kind of pissed me off.
I think you have to watch out for that on Etsy too. I think it's really startling how much AI stuff is everywhere in people's merch and things that they try and pawn off as their artwork, and it's just AI. Trish says, oh no, I can actually speak on that and doing craft shows. When I did craft shows in the past, right? Or I'd sell potted plants, or I would sell knitted things, or what have you. In the old days, oh yeah, I would do like a lot of salves and things like that, because I would grow like calendula and plantain and arnica and things in the garden, and then I would make salves and sell them. It was really frustrating how expensive the entry fees were for these places, and then it's very difficult to make a living. Like, you don't want to think about how much you're making per hour, because there's all of the work you put into making the handmade artisan things that you're selling. There's all of the hours that you're spending at the craft show, and then there's the entry fee. And I feel like sometimes these events are kind of exploitive, and it's better to just buy from their website. If you have expensive items, your goal is not to bulk sell. It's maybe to buy 2 to 5 items. I agree.
I think a lot of these people were selling none.
Yeah. I think because people were looking for Christmas presents, not to invest in like a piece of art, right? It's different than...
I feel like maybe the Saturday market is a little bit better for stuff like that. Because there'll be more people there regularly. So the kind of people who are going... know that there are like bigger art pieces there to buy will go there versus a one-off Christmas thing. I don't know. I felt bad for them.
It was really well attended, though. I was surprised how many Gen Z kids were there. There were tons of Gen Z there. That surprised me.
The music,
I thought it'd be all middle-aged people.
The music was ridiculous. I thought it was gonna be Christmas music. What it was like bass boosted. When I say bass boosted, I mean the skyscrapers were shaking 5 blocks away. It was so... The subwoofer was crazy.
Robert, we're talking about the Portland night market, Christmas market last night that we went to.
They're having it again tonight until 11 o'clock.
It's free.
To go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would recommend going. It's pretty nice if you want to just check it out. But the music was crazy. The subwoofer was so loud, and it was like not Christmas music. It was like Blackpink and Charlie XCX. It was just, I don't know, very, very... Maybe they were trying to draw in more Gen Z people, but not for Christmas Eve.
Junk Drawer says, I feel like I'm looking at a copy-paste. You are your mother's daughter. Everybody says this. I don't think Ruth looks anything like me. She looks just like my mom. Is it the glasses?
It's also the filter. I look weird with a filter on.
Yeah.
We look different in real life.
Yeah.
I don't have blush on.
Oh yeah, we don't have blush on in real life. Or lipstick.
Or eyelashes.
I don't have any. Well, this filter doesn't really have eyelashes.
I can't really see.
Because I don't really have eyelashes in real life. Ruth looks just like my mom, who didn't look anything like me. I look just like my dad. I'm a copy paste of my dad. Ruth looks exactly like my mom, except her hair is brown instead of black. My mom's hair was almost black. None of my kids none of you guys look like me at all. You look like Grandma.
That's how we're related to you.
Yeah.
We don't really look like you or Dad. I guess that's kind of how it works.
George looks just like Dad. You guys all look like each other. If you put all of you together, I can tell that you're siblings, but none of you look particularly like each other. Genes are weird that way.
B looks like George.
Yeah.
George looks like me. Hal looks like me. B doesn't really look like me. Hal doesn't really look like George. Except everyone thinks me and B are twins, so what do I know?
The girls are less than 2 years apart, and people always thought they were twins, but they don't look anything alike. And people would also get them confused.
When we were little,
yeah.
B was really, really tan, and she was blonde, and I was really, really pale, and I had dark hair, and I was, like, way taller than her, and we have a very different nose. She has a very flat nose. I have kind of a bigger nose. We have different eye colors. I didn't think we looked...
Thank you, Robert.
...anything alike.
No.
I guess we both had big foreheads. But in different ways.
Trish says when you guys were little, you had very distinctive looks. B got, like, all of the Chickasaw genes, and you got all of the German genes. Yeah.
When I wear my wire glasses, you guys tell me I look like an old German lady.
You do look like an old German lady.
That's true. Also got an intolerance to sun. I can't tan. My siblings can tan. I can't tan at all. I just burn.
Sorry about that. You got that from me, not from Dad. Yeah. I don't know. Are other folks doing anything for the solstice? Are you doing anything important for Christmas? We still didn't... I don't know if we're getting a tree this year. We didn't really do a tree. I know. We still could. Part of the problem is that we always do a little tabletop tree, and we used to get it from a charity here in Portland that served disabled adults, and then they stopped last year. They stopped doing a Christmas tree lot, and we haven't really found a replacement for them. So thank you. The comment was, I love your body of work. Thanks. I'm just muddling through. I don't know. I try and talk about the things I care about. I would love to be able to talk more about permaculture design, even though it's very niche. Oh, yay. Thanks to a years old YouTube video of yours, my lilac bushes are going to go crazy next year. Thank you, Robert. So that's probably one of my most popular videos before I started talking about political content. I didn't realize that people didn't know how to prune their lilac bushes to get lots of blooms. Here in Portland, this is like perfect climate for growing lilacs, so I have a lot of them. Yeah. Oh, her name, Genevieve. Hi, her name's Ruth. This is my eldest. She's named after my great aunt and my husband's grandma. Yeah, my great aunt Ruth didn't have any children, and she was very dear to me. And then my husband's grandma was just like the most hilarious, wonderful, loving person. So, yeah,
we're both weirdos.
Yeah. Thank you. My kids they're pretty awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It's not always easy to be in a small house with lots of people with strong opinions and very different interests and personalities, but we get along pretty well. Don't you think? Yeah. I feel like you guys always find different things that you can relate to each other about, or it's not like all four of you do everything together as a unit, but sometimes you'll do things with one sibling and then another, and those relationships kind of ebb and flow. Yeah.
Yeah, like me and Hal will play Magic the Gathering. Me and B have a lot of shows we watch together and YouTubers. And we do art together. George, he's very 14, but recently we can bond over Skyrim. So.
George is very 14, but we're just kind of rolling with it because we've already had a 14-year-old in the house 3 times over, so it's not so difficult now.
That's what it is.
It is what it is. George is not that I'm ranking you kids in terms of who was the most difficult 14-year-old, but
it was me.
It was you.
I was detached from reality.
It was you. But look, like what a well-adjusted, functional adult you are now. So, yeah, you just got to wait it out. Really enjoyed your talk about permaculture the other day. Thank you. Okay, that's really, really helpful feedback. I am putting out a Substack later tonight where I'm going to talk more about permaculture, particularly the different zones in a permaculture system. And so this is really good feedback. I never know if other people are as interested in permaculture design and principles and concepts as I am. So I will talk endlessly about it. Those videos never perform well, but I am just... obviously I'm so passionate about it. I could talk about it forever. But I never know if anybody else is interested or as interested as I am. So, Trish knew me when I was 14. So she said, it's only because you were, it's because Ruth was the first 14-year-old. I thought you meant that you knew me when I was 14 years old. I was worse than Ruth was.
We all were uniquely difficult. I had my unique challenges.
Yeah. Came for the political takes and really became interested in permaculture. Okay, this is really helpful. I really value feedback for folks who maybe are just joining the live, or I'm going to upload this on YouTube later. I have a link in the description for my TikTok and also on my YouTube for a survey. I'm asking folks to fill out a survey and help me know how to shape my content for the coming year. Like evaluate me for this year and then help me figure out what kind of content people want to watch more of for next year. Looking at the results so far, I think I'm up to almost 300 responses. People asked if we could do a podcast. That's a really popular thing, you and me and B. And then the other one is to do more long form bread tube type deep dives. A lot of people are interested in those two things. Video essays, yeah.
I'm going to hire an editor for that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Internet Comment Etiquette for saving me and B from the Alt-A blind peg when we were 14.
Yeah. It would be cool to do a podcast with the girls. It would be, especially because Ruth and B are very different people with really different opinions, and we often disagree, and so it's good to have a conversation where we talk through something, and then I don't know, I feel like we really challenge each other, and you guys definitely challenge me. Yeah. Trish said I can't complain about my permaculture videos not performing well because they'll get 40 to 100,000 views instead of 1 million. Okay, well, it feels like not very many people watch them. Yeah. But I think that it's a really important conversation to be having, a really important subject matter to be discussing. We live in a society that's totally opposed to like caring for people and caring for the planet. So I think it's important to be discussing those things. I like your clarity. Hugs from Brazil, comrade. Hi, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I really, really value feedback. There are things I enjoy yapping about, but I want to make sure that people find my content valuable and that it's meaningful and that I'm not skipping over things that people would prefer that I talk about, or that I'm not boring people to death with niche conversations. So are you going to go chat with your friends?
I was just pushing it off to an hour from now so I can make dinner.
Okay. Maybe we'll hop off here in a second. My phone battery is also really low. I have a couple more videos coming out on YouTube tonight, and then I'm going to get my Substack posted. And then maybe you're going to hang out with your friends. Hal's going to play D&D. B's at a party. So maybe I'll read my book and work on knitting and not work tonight. Yeah. Enjoy the solstice. Do you want to say bye to folks? We can dip out.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was
okay.
just giving us more time.
Oh, I did get back in. I got my account back. Yes, thank you. Yeah, yes. Thanks for letting me melt down about it on TikTok.
You're welcome for helping you when you were freaking out.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for coming and doing these. I appreciate you doing it. Yeah. I think that having you on is really helpful because, and also when B comes on too, because you guys will call me out on my bullshit, or you'll check me, or I'll say something about your childhood or like unschooling and be like, my experience is actually a little bit different. And I think that's helpful because there's definitely the bias that I have as a parent, and then your perception and your experience is different. And it's good to have those multiple perspectives so that people get a more accurate description. Do you think that's fair? Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. I really thank you, Junk Drawer, for saying that. Thanks for coming on tonight. Thanks for letting me figure out still slowly how to do these lives. And I will be back tomorrow, probably. Y'all take care.
Bye. You have to press more precisely than hardly.
It doesn't